This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at AWS.com/learn more.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
Welcome back. MisFitNation. We are a show founded by veterans and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share some of your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or star family, we'd love to have you come on and just share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkest, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at _Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Electrocast Media and About Face Radio. This will keep you tuned in to us and learn about our great guests. Speaking of which, our next guest is the author of the new book, Breadcrumb Legacy, How Great Leaders Live a Life Worth Remembering, just published by Routledge, based on in-depth interviews with the leaders in business and non-business areas. Her book serves as a guide to leaving a trail of meaning throughout your life and career. It's inspirational, and practical stories highlight how to live a life worth remembering, and reviewers so far have applauded it. Style and insightfulness and great revelation. So without further ado, let's welcome Jann Freed to the show. Welcome, Jann.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
It's great to have you here. I know we connected, I think it was a couple months ago on through Podmatch and through scheduling. This is the best time for both of us right now. So it's awesome to have you here. And I know we're competing with a lot of sports right now at the
That's true.
Madness. We got NASCAR. We got everything happening right now tonight for some reason. It's like a perfect storm. But we're here tonight, and the listeners on About Face Radio are here listening. So welcome, Jann, and I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I just gave basically 2 sentences about you there. If you want to go back as far as you want to how you got to writing this book and where we are today, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, my first career, I taught at a small liberal arts college. I'm in Iowa. and I taught business management and leadership. And I started a research project, and fast forward, it turned into a book in 2013 called Leading with Wisdom, Sage Advice from 100 Experts. And I interviewed some of the top thought leaders in the field of leadership. And one of the chapters that resonated the most, in each chapter was a theme that emerged out of the research, was the chapter on leaders live their legacy. So then I did a very deep dive into legacy work. And out of that came this book called Breadcrumb Legacy. And I'll explain that in a minute. But I did want to say that I've done 2 TEDx talks, each on a chapter of the book. Wow. And one is called Embracing Death, Seeing Life Through a Different Lens. And the other one is called Becoming a Nobody. But, just a little. So now I do leadership development work. I do coaching, consulting, speaking, but I'll just define Breadcrumb Legacy. So when I was doing workshops, I'd say, well, when do leaders leave their legacy? And people would say, well, when they leave a job, leave a career, when they retire, when they leave the earth, when they die. And I'd say that's true. But what about when we leave this conversation? I leave this workshop. So really, we're all leaving our legacy in bite-sized pieces all the time. And that's where I get kind of the theme. So
that's awesome. And I think it's a great title. And having led in the military for most of my career, 20 of 22 years in the military, I was in a leadership role of some sort. Wow. It was always a goal to make those who I was leading better than me. So my legacy would be them leading the Army of the future. And that's what I can look back now as I'm the old guy now that's retired from the military. I can look back and see them now leading and doing the same thing, bringing up that next generation. So leading those breadcrumbs and making them become the next leaders of our military and of our society, basically.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So I love the whole aspect of this book.
So one of the things that I say is, people will say, well, how do we use the concepts in this book? And I say, well, first of all, if you think about the difference, sometimes the word legacy kind of throws people off because they think, well, it's for the rich and famous. It's for people, who are much more important than I am, and really it's for everybody. And so I say, well, substitute the word impact. What kind of impact do you want to make or leave on others, or how do you want to be remembered? And be thinking about it that way.
Definitely. And I like that you brought up that people think that legacies are only for the rich, because that is I guess that's a stereotype that people put on that, because if I have a legacy, I must have had wealth or had this.
Right. Or I must have been important, or I was a celebrity, or I left my name on a building, or yes. No, it's really, in fact, one quote that I love a lot is from Jane Goodall, the anthropologist. She says, we're all making a difference. What kind of difference do you want to make?
Definitely. And Miss Goodall there is great. I was stationed in Kansas for a while, and she did a lot of work out there at the Manhattan Zoo there, a very small zoo out there, a Little Apple. She loved it there, and she took care of the chimpanzees there. So everyone out there knew about her. Kansas State University, of course, knew about her. So, and my wife went there at the time, so every time she knew she was coming to town, we had to try to find a way to get there while I was stationed there. So it was awesome. So she left those little nuggets around too, without trying to put anything on herself. She was trying to help others the whole time, and that's worth living.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I think you captured that in this book, and I like that you went with business people and non-business people. You said you taught a small liberal arts college in Iowa. My first college in the Army was Upper Iowa University. Oh. So that's where I started my journey.
I know Upper Iowa very well, yes.
I started with them doing management, and I stayed with them until I think I'm one class away from getting my bachelor's with them. Then I switched and took emergency management as my degree for bachelor's.
Well, I'm in Iowa. Rich, where are you located?
Right now I'm in Tennessee, just outside Nashville.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah. So it's a different world here. So it's a little warmer here, I guess, than Iowa probably. I'm sure you guys still have a little winter coming through.
Well, when I think of Nashville, I think of a lot of celebrities.
Yes.
and definitely the music scene. I've been to the Bluebird a couple times.
Okay, nice.
But it was when I was at the Bluebird, it was before the TV show Nashville.
Right.
And now I've heard that you can barely get in there, that you have to book way in advance. And the first time I was there, I just walked in. So things have changed.
Yeah, you definitely can't do that now. It's like the show really blew it up and blew up Nashville as a whole, really.
Yep, that's what I heard.
You can't. We don't go down there often unless a family comes and wants to see it. Then we take them down there as like we're tour guides, taking them to Nashville and having a good time. Then we jump out as quick as possible.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
But that's just like anywhere. Anyone that lives close to a tourist area, you don't want to be in the area that often. You're proud to say you're from there, but you don't want to be part of it because of so many people coming in.
Right. That's true. That's very true.
Speaking of legacies and the rich, Keith Urban, world famous country singer, he will sit outside. He is sitting outside of Bridgestone Arena, dressed as just a bum, really, with a overcoat on, his face all dirty, and strum his guitar with his guitar case in front of him. And people will come give him money all day long, and he'll donate that money to a charity.
And the people don't know it's him?
They have no idea it's him.
Is that right? That's good. That's interesting.
That's part of his legacy down there. And his last concert down there, he walked into everyone in the honky tonks until he found a group that he wanted. And he said, "Hey, what are you doing at 7:00 to be his opening act?" And they said, "Oh, we're getting off here at 6. Okay, you're going to open up for me tonight." What? So he just gave them a career jump just by walking into the
That's nice. That's really nice.
And that's how he leaves leaving his legacy.
That's true.
You can do it in many different ways. And what ways have you, during your interviews, what ways that stuck out to you the most of people who were ultra successful in business, and then those people ultra successful not in business?
Yeah. Well, I think the key, Rich, I think the key words that I like to use are intentional and conscious. Conscious, that you're really thinking about the difference that you're making. You think about the words you use. You think about your interactions. Every conversation. I mean, every chance is an opportunity to make a positive difference or a negative one. And that doesn't mean you agree with everyone. It doesn't mean you have to love everyone. But I think respect. How can you communicate in a way that's respectful? If you have disagreements, how can you work those out? I just think it's a matter of being very aware of the impact that you're having, because it doesn't necessarily, it's not automatically going to be a positive impact. You have to think about it. And so in the book, I talk about, controlling the ego. I talk about embracing death. I talk about continually cultivating relationships and sustaining those relationships, and how all of that makes us better people in the end.
Definitely. And I know when I first went in the military, I didn't know what being a leader really was. And I had to learn on the fly, really, from those around me, those who were leading me. So when I became an NCO, a sergeant, I wasn't the best leader my first couple of years as a leader, but I was learning and I was trying to evolve my style. And I'd pick up what people were putting in front of me. At first, I wouldn't pick it up. Like, no, it's my way or the highway. It's what I do, and this is the only way you should lead. But then I took a step back and looked at myself from outside and was able to say, I need to evolve with the people that are people coming in the military are changing every day. There's different generations coming in. You have to be able to lead all of them.
Yeah.
So I learned as I grew as a leader in the military how to evolve to situations, how to be the best I could be for everyone, and to try to treat them all the same while also treating them differently to fit their needs. And I know in the business world and the leadership roles that you've been in, you probably had to do the same thing. What lessons did you learn as you grew as a leader when you were coming up throughout your life as a leader?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the leadership, it is a journey. You never really arrive.
Right.
We're all evolving. Okay. And I say the most important person to lead is yourself. So that self-leadership, I think, is really important. And I think, we make mistakes. No one's perfect. And so I think learning how to, admit those mistakes. I think asking questions to get people thinking about. So rather than, telling someone what to do or how to do it, but asking them, what do you think is the best way to do it? So I think, again, realizing that it's a never ending journey and the most important person you can lead is yourself. So I'd like to know, Rich, how did you come up with the title of the Misfit Nation?
Awesome. Great question. In 2010, I came from Korea to Fort Campbell, and my unit was already in Afghanistan. So I did a quick train up here and left within 60 days and got to Kandahar, Afghanistan, and linked in with my unit. And I was just like the odd guy out there. I was the odd senior NCO there. And I was just like being given odd jobs. Hey, look at the security, do this. And my first sergeant took me around. He introduced me to some young soldiers. I said, hey, how you doing? Good. You guys are pretty dirty. What are you doing? They're building towers. I said, awesome. You guys are doing great work. And then he said, this is going to be your platoon. I said, okay. And all these soldiers came from different units. So there's people that were handpicked from other units to give up to this platoon to be the personal security of the quick reaction force and the security detachment for this whole FOB. And we called ourselves the Misfits because it was like the island of misfit toys.
Oh,
so
okay.
They came from all different places, people that no one really wanted. They didn't know what to do. So we all wound up in the island of misfit toys. And so in 2010, we labeled ourselves the Misfits, and we kind of stayed in touch, definitely stayed in touch since then. We had a pretty tough deployment 2010-11. I retired in 2015. When I started this in 2020, I reached out to them and said, is it all right if I use Misfit as part of the name? And they said, yes, do it. So I made the Misfit Nation and pushed it forward. Okay. That's how it came.
Very nice. Very nice.
So one big happy family, and we're spread throughout this, but throughout the world. So it's awesome.
Great. Good.
So that's part of the legacy of the Misfit Nation.
There you go. There you go.
And hopefully, they're all doing great things in their communities and for themselves and for their families now. And a couple are still leading in the military, which makes me happy every time I see them post something or I see them do something. I said that I did something right because they're still doing something right. So it's good.
Yeah, very good. Do people call in on this show, Rich? I didn't know.
They do sometimes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's Sunday right now, like we said earlier, with all the sports going on. It's going to be hard.
Right. Yeah, it'd be fun to have some people call in. I would love that.
And I have it set up for it, so it's worked before.
Okay, good.
So if you're listening now, our number is 202-813-9379, and we're here to talk to you.
That's right. We'd love to have some questions called in.
Definitely. And what number one lesson made you a successful leader?
Well, I don't walk around saying, one of the things that I say is it's very, it's easier for me to write about it, talk about it, teach it, read about it than it is to do it. Leadership is tough. It's tough. You have to, make tough decisions and learn how to communicate and interact. I mean, what I say is leadership is not a title and it's not a position. It's a relationship. So I think the key is really learning how to develop, cultivate, nurture relationships. And relationships are tough, whether they're personal or they're professional. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to have conflict. We're going to, have situations that are emotional. And right. So learning how to work through that, and no one's perfect, myself included. So that's why I think leadership coaches, I do coaching, I do speaking, I do workshops. I think leadership coaches, just like any kind of, like right now, we're in the middle of March Madness, right? All of these teams have coaches. All of these players have been playing since they were probably in second or third grade.
Yes.
But they still need a coach.
Right.
Yet too many people fall into leadership roles without having preparation, without having read much about it. They've experienced other coaches, other leaders, I should say. They've experienced other leaders, but those leaders might have been good or bad. That doesn't necessarily mean that they've really experienced an effective leader. So people fall into these positions and kind of stumble around a lot. And one of the questions I like to ask in workshops is I'll say, well, how many of you have been under the influence of a bad leader? And hands just shoot up. So, bad leaders, people who really don't know what they're doing, can create very toxic environments. And now one show that I do like a lot, and it's very popular, is Ted Lasso. Okay. So, here you take a football coach, or what was his background? Wasn't it in American football and now he's
Yes.
doing soccer? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, in a sense, they're kind of similar. But what I was going to say is, if you took a football coach right now and said, okay, go coach this March Madness team, one of the Elite Eight, they may, they're going to know some things about team dynamics and all of that, but they may not really know the very particulars of the game. And, that's why I think, if a person is in a leadership position, getting coaching along the way can really be advantageous.
Definitely. And there's multiple different ways to coach, as you've seen in March Madness. Shaka Smart, he took his team at a timeout, and the first thing he did with them is do a breathing exercise with them to calm them down. Instead of going through any plays, he stopped them, had them all sit and do breathing exercises to make them refocus on what they were supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Recalibrate their mind and get them back in the game. And you never would have seen that or heard of that, say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, definitely not 20 years ago. You never heard of breathing exercise on the sideline without a chair getting thrown at somebody, then breathing after. So
yeah, I don't think Bobby Knight would have been doing that. No.
Yeah, he'd be breathing after he threw the chair, but
right. He might have been throwing a chair. Yeah.
So you would have never seen that. So when they said he did that, so that's amazing that's happening in the game at the peak of the game when you're down. I think they were down by 5 points at the time, and he stopped them to calm them down and did that. That's a new wave coach right there, new age coach.
Yeah,
he knows what his players needs.
Yep, that's true.
Like you said, knowing your people and leading those who are around you the best way you can. That's what he did right there. Shaka Smart. Yeah.
Very good.
So that was one thing. That's the one coach that stood out to me. And then last night, Kansas State, after they lost by 3, it was a sad night here in our household because that's my wife's alma mater, Kansas State. Their coach went into Florida Atlantic's locker room, congratulated them, and told them, "Listen, you are the toughest team we played all year.
Interesting.
You're going to win this whole thing. I'm rooting for you."
I didn't hear that. Right? I did watch the game, but I didn't hear that part of it. So that's interesting. Yeah.
That's a true leader. He can walk out of his own locker room, go to their locker room, do that, congratulate them, and then walk away.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
And I think that's something we need to hear more of, because I know other coaches probably do that stuff too, but that one that blew up because I guess I follow them, so it's all over my feed.
Yeah, that's a good story.
It definitely is. How hard is it to become a better leader while you're as a part of a team or growing in an organization?
Well, first of all, I think it's work. I mean, people need to realize, as I said before, it's a never-ending journey, and you have to work at it. You have to want to be a better leader. And what I think is really important, I think people misunderstand sometimes that really, it's not about the leader. It's about how well are you developing other leaders. And that's where leaders need to be coaches. Leaders need to help others learn. And I often say leaders need to clear obstacles, not be the obstacle.
Right.
And too many, if you're working under the influence of a bad leader, the leader is the obstacle. You tend to work around them, and leaders should really, their job is to help you get the resources, that you need to do your job. And so leadership really, I think, is misunderstood. It's not about the leader. It's about developing other leaders. And so learning how to do that.
Definitely learning the ways to lead and learning the ways to mold a team, because you're not going to, if you have 5 people, you have 5 different personalities. They're not going to be the same mentality. They're not going to have the same mindset. They're not going to come from the same upbringing,
right?
Unless the brother and sister that somehow wound up on your team,
right?
But you'll have different people there the whole time. You'll have to push them, poke them, prod them to figure out what makes them tick, and then make the whole team tick at the same way.
That's true.
That goes into what you were saying about it takes work. If you don't want to work while being a leader, you don't need to be a leader. You need to just get back and be led again. Right.
I would totally agree, Rich. Yeah.
That's something I learned along the way. One of my first platoon sergeants told us you either lead or you be led. That's what you do. If you're not in a leadership position, follow direction and do everything the best you can until you are in that leadership position. And then you can delegate authority and do whatever you have to do at that point to make other people become the leaders you are.
Yep. Absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of military veterans, when we hang up our boots, we kind of lose that purpose in life. You lose what you did for X amount of years. If you did one tour, 4 years, whatever, or 22 or 30, once you turn and take off them boots, you lose that purpose. And a lot of veterans go through a period where they don't feel like they have a purpose anymore. And it usually takes a group of other brothers and sisters to grab you by the neck or throat punch you and tell you, hey, look, you do have a purpose. What are you interested in? What do you want to do? Do you want to help youth, mentor youth? Do you want to coach? Do you want to do this? Do you see that on the others? I mean, I'm talking from the military side. You can talk from the business side. In the business side, I know after you're in the grind for so long, then you walk away from it. Do you still have to find a purpose after that?
Absolutely. In fact, that's interesting you bring that up, because that's actually chapter 2 in my book.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, it's chapter 2. What's your reason for getting up in the morning?
Right.
And that's the second chapter. That, a lot of times when people retire, purpose, it's important for everybody at every age and stage. And the millennials are actually being called the purpose generation, because they want to work for a purpose and a paycheck, not just a paycheck. So it really is important. And so much of what we do is our identity. So if we don't do it anymore, then where do we find our identity? And, I often say to people, well, explore, discover, try things. What gets you excited, and so that's chapter 2 in my book, Rich.
Outstanding. So for me, I took a year completely off.
And that's good. We call that a gap year. Yeah. Take a year off and try to figure it out. Very good.
I called it my decompress year and hang out with my dog year.
Yeah.
Until my wife got tired of me being home with the dogs and told me to get out and find a job. And exactly 365 days from the time I retired, I got a job. So she was happy to see it move again. And
and what's your job now?
Now I train soldiers. At that time, I was mentoring other veterans. And
okay.
I still went through their transition from the military back into the community.
Okay, very good. Well, that's what you're doing is very important work.
Yeah, I have fun with my job now. It's a lot of fun. I still get to see soldiers every day, and
good.
I get to go home every night too. So that's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So it's a lot of fun to see where the military is going and be able to sit back and watch it and not have to be in it anymore.
Right. That's good.
So I mean, it gave me my purpose again, and everyone's happy in this house, so it's good.
And that is very important. Yeah. Very important.
It went from 2 dogs to 4, so I guess they're happy too.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say that if I've said anything that is of interest to your audience, my website is jannfreed.com, 2 N's and 2 E's. I can also be found on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. I'm a little late to the game, but I'm catching up. So I do post things on Instagram. And if people go to my website that I see flashing on your screen, there's a 20% discount from the publisher for the book. Awesome. So it takes a little bit longer than Amazon, but it's less expensive. So they can find that on my website, which is flashing on the screen, which is very nice.
Awesome. I was just about to ask you, how do people get in contact with you? You jumped on, so it's good. See, that's leading from the front there. Good. Well, so reach out and connect with Jann on Instagram and LinkedIn. Build her Instagram up, because it's hard.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I want to become an influencer. I think it's too late, but that's okay.
Start dancing or singing on there. You'll get a lot of likes, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Just put some weird video of a dog chasing something. People will like that, and they'll give all kinds of likes. You'll be good. Don't do anything that's worthwhile right up front. They don't want that. Okay, well, that's
I'm not following your advice, so okay.
Good. But Instagram it's a different animal. LinkedIn is great, a great place to link in and meet professionals and learn about their leadership styles and stuff like that there, and build your network there. So most people on LinkedIn have a big network, and they'll more than willing to help you. Just got to pretty much ask and they'll do it they'll be there for you. So it's awesome. It's an awesome platform.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Any tips or tricks you can provide for the audience on being a good leader or growing as a leader?
Yeah. Well, I would say, it starts with the self. So self-awareness, really get to know yourself, get to know your strengths, try to play to your strengths, but realize that, again, it's not about you. It's about developing others. And my definition of a leader is someone who's in the position to influence the lives of others. So I use a very broad definition. If you're a parent, coach, teacher, pastor, boss, manager, you're a leader. So if you're in a position to influence the lives of others, really take it seriously, because often how you treat others under your influence, then that they can turn around. That influences how they may treat others. So it can be like a chain reaction. If you're in a position to influence the lives of others, take it very seriously, because you're a role model and you may be modeling positive behaviors or negative behaviors. And so I think, again, going back to that, being intentional and being conscious of, what you're doing and aware of what you're doing is important.
Thank you. That's awesome right there. And Jann, again, thank you for taking some of your Sunday evening to hang out with us tonight.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and I appreciate it very much, Reg.
Thank
the
you.
best to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Misfit Nation.